Let's take a look. So definitely rounding in the upper back. Hold on. 2 inches. Yeah, okay. Deeper, deeper, getting deeper. Now, what I'm seeing is the elbows pitching up and the bar moving out of that bottom position, going to make her super uncomfortable, super insecure in where that bar is going to go. If that bar moves up her neck, it's going to lose, like she loses confidence that she's doing it correctly because it feels wrong.
And your internet connection cut out the last 20 seconds.
Oh, okay. So what I was seeing in the video, you're correct that she's not getting to depth. She's also rounding her back, and more particularly, the bar is actually moving on her back as she pulls up out of the bottom position. And that just feels super awkward. That feels super uncomfortable to people. And it's one of the reasons when they're like, I can't do that. She's got a bit of a, instead of sending the hips back to get into position, it's the grocery pickup, rounding shoulders to bring the bar down with her.
Sure, sure.
And in real time, that's what I'm seeing. She's actually doing a pretty good job of keeping her weight on her feet balanced here. Her knee timing doesn't even look bad. Like she actually gets there halfway down. Maybe could come out a little bit farther forward, but she's fine. It's all up here.
Yeah. So the cues. So what I should have said. Well, I prioritized depth.
Yes. Okay.
But I should have fixed her setup errors, and I said, big breath, get tight, and continue to still prioritize depth. The only other thing that I would fix here is CCOM is going forward. I'd like for it to shift back. Now,
I'm expanding to full screen because there's a lot of glare right here at the middle of her feet.
Yeah.
Because I'm seeing just a hair of movement.
Okay.
There's going to be a lot of bar movement, but a lot of that is because she's got, more junk in the trunk than she's got weight on that bar.
Okay. I guess that's what I was looking at, the bar path for that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Now, when she's definitely messing that, it's interesting because as I watch her feet, like it may be, a half inch forward to the midfoot here. I see a little bit of wiggling in the heels. It's not too bad. She pops up. You'll notice her back becomes so much more horizontal. Her weight is still in that same spot. Like she does a decent job of staying in balance, but all this is constantly changing. So your focus, a priority error is definitely depth. Because if she doesn't get there, she'll never correct her other problems. She'll just cut it short. And she'll never have to solve that.
Sure.
Part of, or rather, once she at least has a concept that she needs to go deeper, then the next focus or priority is probably going to be up here. Now, when you look at this, what could you cue? Like, and give yourself multiple options, not all of which are going to work, but what could you cue to address the back folding as she drives up?
Sure. Back folding as she drives up?
Yeah, so in this rep, for instance.
Okay, gotcha.
You see the bar rolls up her back, her wrists roll forward, her hips drive up and back, and so she becomes more horizontal.
Sure. Chest up. Drive your chest up. Because she's really doing a great job of driving her butt up. I would say drive your chest up. If she overdid the chest, I would say hips and chest at the same time. And besides the, get tight, big breath at the beginning, I don't know what cue I would use besides chest up, don't lean over quite as much.
So chest up is a great over cue for people for the chest fall, for leaning over more. That's another great option. What about the bar rolling on her back?
Well, it's in a high bar position. She can't do the low bar.
She can't do the low bar, and that's fine, but watch it right here.
Yeah.
Physically, it's moving up her traps as she goes. It's moving about an inch or two. Uh, that definitely is going to make it uncomfortable. Do you see the bar movement?
Yeah, sure do.
The elbows, she almost, because she's so bent over, the elbows are actually almost pushing the bar up that little bit. Thank you for that. She gave you that look there, 2 inches deeper, like, are you fucking kidding?
Yeah, I know. She's good at that look. She's good at that look. Let me think about that for a second. So the first thing that comes to mind is squeeze the traps.
Squeeze the traps might help in terms of the upper back rounding, because chest deals with the hips closing, the back forward. The upper back rounding forward is how that bar starts to roll. So cues like keeping the pew-pews up, shrug it, like, tightening the traps, shrugging the traps may work, so long as, and you have to keep an eye on this as a coach, that she is, if you do that, like, let's say you teach, if you teach her, if you put your hands on her back and you pin like this, you can often get a scap retraction, but they will still, this black shirt isn't helping, but they will still be in retraction even with the scaps. So things like hold the elbows down, not to actually like put tension in them or pull it down, but rather to kind of hold them into the side, because as she pulls out of the hole, her elbows lift, and that elbow lift kind of pushes that bar just a little bit up her back.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, the waterfall back, things like pew-pews up, I don't often use this, but for some people, I'll have them bring up their gaze some. So if her eyes are like here, I'll have her bring it maybe 10 feet in front of her.
Mm-hmm. What's the difference between chest up and pew-pews up?
So when you say drive the chest up, usually, and it's the reason why Rip hates this cue, people open the hips.
Yeah.
In the back angle. When I teach pew-pews, what I teach is, that your pew-pews are on independent suspension. So I can be upright, and I haven't changed my back position. I'm just aiming my nipples at the sky. I'm aiming them at the floor compared to bending over.
Got it.
The pew-pews are in independent suspension from the hips. And that's one of those things, that cue doesn't work unless you share it. And if you try to use, like point the chest up or something like, or something like that, they may not get it. Another way to get that cue while they're standing, I'll put my hand up here and I'm like, point up at my chest, or poke my hand with your chest. And it's obviously so way out here, they're not going to get it. But you do that and you have them hold it and you're like, this is what I mean. This is pew-pews up. This is thoracic extension. This is, point it up, whatever cue you want to use.
Okay. I'll work on that.
And for the lift, some lifters have a really hard time separating extending the hips from thoracic extension.
Sure.
In her case, she needs to do both. So chest up might be a cue that fixes one. She may still have the rolling problem and have the bar problem. All right. Anything left with Sandra 99?
No, good.
Boom. All right. He wears his sunglasses inside.
And at night. He had eye surgery.
Gotcha. Weightlifting shoes, setting his belt on him. Not the most productive belt in the world, but that's okay.
We make do how we can.
Yep. Good.
And I meant to cut all that out, but I'll know for next time.
And in fact, actually setting that in, the last time we went over squats, we talked about how you were, talking about the scaps and the spine, and here's where I want it. And, right here, you just did it in the right right position. He's ready to go. The stance looks like it could be a hair narrow. Hard to tell from this angle.
He's usually wide.
Okay. Knees are coming a bit too far forward. Part of that is just anthro. The man's got giant femurs. Chest is staying too upright. Like if you look here, and this is going to be tied in. So right now you are seeing the primary errors at the level that they happen, and you are cueing to the primary error. And that's going to fix him. In this case, that rep was actually okay. I think it's the next rep. Yeah. If he stays so upright, he stays super upright. Let's get him in the position here. In fact, for the first few inches of the next rep, he barely bends over at the start. Yeah. And his knees only have one choice, to go out really fast. Yeah, those first 3 or 4 inches, he's completely upright. He doesn't start bending until now. Already as far out as they should be going, and they're still going over more. And that's part of why it's so uncomfortable for him to hit depth. Part, not all of it, but part.
So
yeah, what were your notes on this guy?
Chest down, knees out hard. So, and I think that would fix depth on its own.
Quite possibly. With the knees out, there's a possibility that you'll need to change his stance a little bit, play with it. So, yeah, I think it'll fix on its own, because part of the reason why he stops going to depth, his knees get so far forward that it pulls his heels off the floor. He can't go any farther without coming to his toes, and that doesn't feel right. So I'd agree. Like starting with chest down and knees out would be a great place to see how that affects. One last thing I wanted to check and see. This is the rep where he stays the most vertical. Yeah. So the bar path definitely goes funky there. We never want the ball forward out of the hole, but that's tied into all those other things. He's up toes, so it comes forward. Okay.
The one challenge that I've had with chest down, I posted this on Slack last night to review, is that the chest down, I had a client that was going too vertical, huge chest down, chest down, chest down, and now she was overdoing it. And in fact, to where the 5th rep, she was actually starting in a little hip flexion to make sure her damn chest got down. So that's a balance. I have to be aware that I'm instructing knees and hips break at the same time. Bring your chest down. You look down. As soon as your knees slide forward, I found that helps. That's going to push your hips back. Don't worry about going down. That's going to happen.
Yeah. It's interesting when someone overdoes a bend over cue. Like most people, they stay too vertical. When someone goes on the other side of things, what's worse is when they can they can actually be in balance and do that, and then they're almost doing a good morning.
Sure.
Yeah, cueing. So you said you were cueing her to get the knees farther forward. Like what was your cue working with her?
So she was too vertical to start. I'm cueing chest down, chest down, chest down. By the second working set, she's now good morning her squats. Yeah. And then the cue changes to, your chest is doing great, knees forward faster. And so now she's got two contradictory cues, and I didn't put that piece of instruction in that chest down as the knees slide forward, break at the same time.
Yeah, some kind of a now setting the expectation, setting the standard, chest down enough.
Chest down enough. Okay.
Yeah, chest down enough. I actually like what you need getting or like where you went because that's where I went in getting the knees positioned forward faster because the hips going back makes you more horizontal, the knees going forward brings you more to vertical. That's a great indirect way to cue it. Um, as long as your mental model can adjust to the fact that there's just a right position, and she'll be playing with her knees forward and back until she finds that right position, and you as the coach are sort of helping talk her and feel her through that.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah, the knees aren't a bad idea. As long as she's not getting up in her head.
Okay. And I found that I'm putting my lifters in the head. However, this next set with Daniel, I try to say as little as possible until I see something that I think is incorrect. But I look forward to discussing that.
Let's get up to speed.
And this is the guy that I took through the progression about 3 weeks ago. This is our fourth overhead press session.
Yeah, look good.
So now I screwed him up.
Threw off his rhythm a little bit.
So the let it drop cue was, he has the habit of as he hip thrust, he'll hold the bar here and then try to press it. So let it drop is our cue, just to let that thing slide down.
And what I was saying was after you cued his elbows forward, his rhythm in the hip bounce got thrown off a little bit. Like so.
Yep.
Yeah, I can see that. Whereas before he was doing a pretty good job of just straight down and up. Bar starts coming back a little bit towards him, and yeah. So this is one of those things where, as a coach, we can over assign ourselves.
Do you mind if I jump in real quick?
Yeah, please.
So he's a real good client. We go through this together. I review every set with him, and I ask him, did this cue help? So we go through everything. So looking at this set, my evaluation was, listen, man, that elbow forward cue messed you up. So I'm not going to cue the elbows until I see the elbows going behind the bar, because your timing is very crisp. So, just admitting to him, hey, that my cue messed you up. Otherwise, it looked real snappy.
Did he reply that he felt that?
That's what I was going to say.
What's that?
Absolutely. He said it was the hardest. When I told him elbows up, that was the hardest rep. Yeah. And I think it's because his elbows went up, he lost this tightness here.
Another thing, when the elbows are too high, it wants to become you've preloaded, you've pre-tensioned the triceps. It wants to become a hammer curl. It wants to become a tricep curl. It's why we can't do a front squat rack for a push press. It's going to get away from you. You have to get the elbows under. And when we look at it, if the actual point of the olecranon where the tricep wraps around is in front of the bar significantly, there's a moment on the elbow. And
right.
That has to do work to fight that. So I would actually say it's not even that you distracted him, but having his elbow that far forward was actually wrong for the press.
I agree. Totally. Yeah. I say 1 inch I say elbows forward 1 inch. He cranked it 4 inches using our black box system.
And you can see it twice. He goes boom and then boom. Like he moved it.
Yeah. What do we think about his CCOM? Is he good? That's another thing that I have on my. It seems like his CCOM is forward.
So he wobbles, he rocks back and forth a little bit, especially every time he receives the bar. But
Not really to speak of.
not terribly.
Okay.
When you do the hit throw, the weight will come forward just a little bit, and it will rock back just a little bit as you come. So I don't really, unless the heel comes off the floor, unless it's a moderate, fail. I don't in the press, especially like a 2.0 press. I let it fly.
All right. Cool.
Gina.
Yep.
All right. Back to volume on. Full screen.
So this was Gina that had the way too vertical torso last week that I overcorrected on the chest, chest down. She's got her timing back. And
Was that the last thing you said?
Oh, her hips and knees are breaking so much better than they were last week.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I even gave her any cues here because I was so happy with her hips and knees breaking at the same time. If I were to fix a couple of things, it would be the knee slide and drive and hip drive. But I intentionally sort of pulled back to not overdo it, to not overcue it.
So you say two things. You say on a rep 2, you say knees forward sooner, and then on before the last rep, you say knees out hard. Knees out hard, I can't quite see from this angle. Knees forward. Her knee slide is a thing, and it's not even a thing on all the reps. It's just in hers, it's easing it out all the way through to the finish before she starts taking it back.
Mm-hmm.
Her looks decently good to me in the terms of her body staying in even line. The lumbar flex is just a hair, and her depth is inconsistent. She crushed 2. By this rep, she's actually high.
Yeah. And so it to me it looks like it's almost in valgus on that when she cuts it high. It looked like she's almost in valgus. Just looking at her shin angle.
Let's take a look.
And that's what made me say knees out hard. So those knees look fine.
Yeah. So I agree with your choice not to cue much. She looks so much better than she did before that, let better be better.
Yeah.
Your choice to deal with her knee slide and her knees out was just fine. And just get the mental model that this is how far she needs to bend over to.
Mm-hmm.
Good day. What would you so your progression with her has been through 2 upright to chest down. What would you work on with her next? Like, because she needs a bit of a mental model for the knee slide for where the knees need to be. Like, what could you do?
So tubo is always an option. I think before that, just instructing, actually showing her the demo of, the third or the half of the way down when your torso is where you need it to be. Your knees stick, and letting her stay and feel that position. So before tubo, before saying stick your knee, set your knee, I would put her in that position and say, this is the position that you need to be in the first third and the first half of the squat.
Okay. Yeah. If you get another good set or 2 out of her for working sets, but she's still getting knee slide, then absolutely. That would be kind of the next thing to work on. But she's looking a lot better. Richard. Okay, he's got the old man kyphosis.
Yeah. I was happy with my cues here. I just wish I didn't wait 3 reps to cue it. We worked on pulling the bar up through the shins. I continued to look at those hips drop as if I don't know anything. And then finally, on the last rep, I think I say something.
You did. So, yeah, his hips are dropping, his knees are coming forward. Of the two cues you gave, I absolutely agree with the bar being on the shins, and with drawing that to his attention. I think losing a little bit of, hold on. Nah, he's fine. He's starting a little bit rounded, but he's finishing rounded, and at his age, I'm not going to sweat that too much. The bar rolling.
Mm-hmm. With
a guy who has that kind of big frame, if you can get him to get the bar in position and stay there, fantastic.
All right.
For real, like some people, it's just a struggle, like widening out their, it's something like that. However, one thing that he absolutely does need to do, even if it's a little forward to the midfoot to start, he needs to stop rolling it. Like it needs to stop.
Okay.
It needs to stop moving before the bar starts going up the shins, because that's one of the reasons why it's bumping off of him. He's slowly rolling up, and he's rolling away from him. So he has a little bit of momentum on that bar. What's going on with his back?
So I'd love to see that lockout a little harder, stronger.
I was about to say, he's not locked out. What I was looking at was, is he raising the chest too early? I don't think so. And then, so as a minor nitpick, I looked at him and I agree. His lockout is not finished.
So the biggest instruction I have in my notes for him is for the next time, take a couple of seconds in between reps, get yourself set, and then go. In addition to the bar and the shins, just take a second.
That's one of my that is one of my favorite cues for the deadlift, especially in the online space, but in general, is to take a second and freeze. With big guys, sometimes it's really uncomfortable for them to hold in the bottom position, and if you give them longer time, that will cause the bar to roll as they sort of lose the position. So you kind of have to make that judgment whether or not he's able to hold it efficiently, and if you have to make it or something like that.
Sure. Okay, great.
So just pausing before he goes, and then definitely freezing before the rep starts to move. This is bad. She looks on the younger side. Weight coming forward. Finishing standing. That one was high. That knee is better. Knees coming forward. That one was high. Okay. So the two things that I saw with Beth were being high on reps 2 and 4. She has a bit of a tendency as she drives out of the hole, just a bit, to push the bar and therefore her center of mass forward, and then fight on her way back.
Mm-hmm.
What notes do you have for?
I should have said stop moving your feet in between sets. A lot of feet movement. I think the fourth one, I gave her a cue on the first and second one, the first or the second one. By the fourth one, I thought it was better. I just want to see if you think the fourth rep or the one that I said is the best rep. I just want to see if we agree on that. And so we're working on chest down.
So the descent wasn't bad, but she didn't get to depth. Her last one was her shortest one. So I can't really assess whether her balance or her verticality or bent overness is correct. because when we get to rep 4, that's the nadir right there. I'm seeing her hips and her knees here compared to right there, where she's darn near at depth, maybe a little bit darn near. So it's interesting. A lot of your people struggle with depth, and that has, that's one of the first things you see with your squatters, I'm noticing.
And I liked what you said earlier, which is just give them a concept of depth, and begin to work on some other things.
And that depends. So if the depth is caused by something else, I don't want to leave it unaddressed, because unmentioned, because then they might just cut depth to solve whatever problem I give them if they don't realize it's a problem. If they're supposed to go, but the mechanics are fine, then yeah, I'm gonna harp on depth.
Yeah.
So for, who was it? Sandra? Yeah. She needs to deal with some other things. Beth, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
She's pretty mobile. She's moving pretty well.
Yeah.
I think she just needs to know.
Yeah.
Let's see Katrina. Okay. She's looking a little more strict. Oh, wait, nope. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not being strict. Hold on. First rep was all right. Already having seen the second one, she toy soldier throws the hell out of that one.
Yeah. So it takes me 4 reps to address that. Now try my look at me,
Well, in her case, her eyes are staying forward. I don't see her eyes losing in that sense. As she leans back, I don't see that move until she throws her head to get the bar out of the way. So by that point, she's already lost it. When I look at her feet, when she throws, she gets back onto her heels.
Okay.
So yeah. So in the press, if you're doing a hip, your weight will actually come slightly forward to your toes, as we've talked about. Not enough that the lifter jumps or anything. With her, let's get to. She throws her hips, and right there, you see the toe lift. Like as soon as it moves up, something you can work on her with, because that's part of the reason why. If she stays on the toe or on the heels and keeps everything locked, then the hips are frozen, and all she can move at is.
Got it.
You gave her this look straight at me the whole time. I've slowed it down just to be sure. You know what? I was wrong. It's hard to see her face through the plates. She is looking up, like to get out of the way. But it didn't quite solve her throw the bar away from her.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What were your thoughts on what to do next with her?
So one cue I used with Daniel today is forehead, eye gaze, chin, collarbone. They all face in the same plane the entire time. As the hips go forward, this just drops down. Everything literally just drops down. It doesn't fall back. It just drops down.
Okay. That's a start. That's good. And if she gets it indirectly, she'll get the idea of where her balance needs to be. So, yeah, that's definitely a test-free test. Give it a try and see what happens. Another thing could be just cueing it to, hit your nose, keep it in close. Because whenever she does that throw, she throws it forward and away from her. Requiring that it stay close to her might also fix that as well.
Okay.
And small thing, she, like David, after you cued him, cued him, her elbows are in that same position.
Okay.
Which is probably part of the reason she's pushing it away from her face. She's got the pre-cocked spring.
Yeah. I've been over cueing that, so that's something to learn.
And interestingly enough, okay, as she leans back with her head coming up with her. Whereas most people, when they lean back, the elbows actually droop back a little bit. Her elbows are coming forward because she's, she's stiff and she's leaning back from the system. So, okay, you got a couple of things you can work with.
Okay.
Katrina squat. Woo! Death is beautiful.
She's got some mobility. If she would just get her damn chest down.
Let me bring it up to normal speed real quick so I can hear you. So besides weight management, yeah, she's definitely staying up too vertical on the way down. So teach down on the way up and holding it up on the way down. One thing that may help her is slowing down. Like,
all right,
just just one count. If she's taken 2 counts to get down, make her take just a hair more, because she's so racy that when she gets down to the bottom, it kind of crumples a little bit, and then she has to open up. I agree with you that she's too vertical on her way down on the descent, and bringing that down to the correct level would help her a lot.
and I should have said knees out hard also. I believe we've got some valgus.
I see the scoop as she drives up out of the hole.
Not as much priority as the others.
I would not prioritize that over getting her bent over.
Sure.
Get bent over appropriately, and then staying at the same angle as she gets out of the hole, instead of getting squishy and then the hips leading without the chest.
Mm-hmm.
Focus on those 2 first, and then valgus is kind of on the side as something to address, because it's not restricting your depth yet, so you might have some time there. Okay. Now what I didn't hear in this set was a cue to bend over. 2 more, because she can't count. That's okay. So you've identified here what to do. In the moment, the only cue that you gave her was to not pop the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Gina bench. Okay. Good timing. Widen your grip out.
Yeah, grip way too close.
And my cursor where she touches, touch point's relatively consistent, bar's wobbly. There's a lot of small stuff with her.
Yeah, love to see that. Love to see that big breath, chest up, held throughout the entire set. Looks like she's pushing through her heels. Love to see that foot flat. And I think if we widen her grip out, that will straighten her forearm.
So for this set, she's responding to you correct. Like, she's responding to you well. If that was a problem before, I'm not really. So she's listening to you and holding her